What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Astro Sean. And in this video, I'm going to be giving a natal chart interpretation of the weekend. So for each zodiac season, I will choose a celebrity, or you guys can drop down in the comments below someone who you want to see for that particular season. And I will be uploading a video going into some of the factors of their natal chart. So last month was Capricorn season, and I did a video about LeBron James. So for this season, Aquarius season, I'll be doing a interpretation of the Weeknd. So the Weeknd is one of my favorite artists. I've been listening to the Weeknd since his mixtape days, such as House of Balloons, Thursday, Echoes of Silence. I remember when his first official studio album came out, Kissland, which I think is his best project thus far. So I am familiar with The Weeknd and some of the more lesser known things about him. So without further ado, let's get started. So The Weeknd was born February 16th, 1990 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That number of 16 is particularly good for music endeavors or any type of, it sets you up for having a life where you are creative, artistic, where you go beyond those whatever is reality, if that makes if that makes sense. So when being an Aquarius and born on the 16th, that can make him extra weird, extra out there. And that 16 vibrates to the planet Neptune. So again, music capabilities, artistic abilities, all of that is in harmony with the number 16. However, 16 does have some inherent challenges associated with it. For example, 16 can produce a life where you are in bondage in some way, somehow, a life where there are a lot of uncertain circumstances that can plague, where you don't know necessarily what's coming around the corner. There can be dangers from water, chemicals. You may having some addictive tendencies with the 16 because you are always trying to escape, because it is a very vulnerable number, and it can be a number that has a more difficult time navigating on this earthly realm. And it can manifest as a life full of tragic or just sorrowful circumstances. It can be a sorrowful number in that respect. Um, so before I get into his planets, I want to get into his chart characteristics. So he is lacking in the fire element, and the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So he doesn't have any significant planetary placements in fire signs, which can make a person lack enthusiasm and not have a strong sense of self. Now, with him being an Aquarius, Aquarius is a depersonalized sign. It's not a personal sign. So Aquarius are always finding their identity within certain groups, their friendships or organizations or social causes. So that compounds that Aquarian energy of not having a strong sense of self or enthusiasm. He may be one of the more Saturnian Aquarius, because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn as well as Uranus. So with this hookup, along with his Capricorn stellium, he is probably more of the Saturn-like Aquarians, which can again lack that enthusiasm, and just he may not have that spark. He may not have that thing that just makes him feel alive. He also, in terms of his modes, is lacking in the mutable element. And mutable deals with communication. However, being that he's an Aquarius, Aquarius is an air sign, so he probably is gifted when it comes to communication. However, he may not be that adaptable. He probably isn't that adaptable, and he probably expects for the people around him to adapt to him, and this can make him not good at being versatile. However, some of that mutable lack of that mutable energy is can be made up through his birth number of 16, as well as his Mars conjunct Neptune aspect in his chart. But just in general, he may find it difficult to switch gears or to change when it comes to adapting to the curves of life. He has strong fixed and cardinal energy, so with that lets me know that he's gonna be around for a pretty long time, because what that cardinal energy does, it makes you good at initiating things, and it makes you good at being a leader. However, Sometimes with that cardinal energy, there may be the tendency to start things and not finish it. However, in his case, he has a strong fixed modality as well, which gives him that longevity and that ability to be able to push through and to remain and to kind of anchor him down. So with that going on, he is someone who more than likely will be around for a long time, and that will be in part thanks to some of the other aspects in his chart. So getting into this Aquarius Sun, with him being an Aquarius, Aquarius is good for music. It's good for music as well because Aquarius is very original, inventive, and Aquarius likes to keep things new and exciting. And when it comes to their work, Aquarius just have a rep for being emotionally detached. But when it comes to their work, they do put their emotions into their work. And so, this can be good for writing songs due to, Aquarius being an air sign, as well as music producing because of the technological aspect of it. So that is a really good sign for music. He has his North Node in Aquarius, which is showing that in this lifetime, he is to be more impersonal, more detached, more about organizations, being a humanitarian, and living life not so much through his heart, but through his mind, through more of a scientific technique. And it's interesting because he does have that song called Heartless, and that is kind of the way that he needs to be in this lifetime. Not like, ruthless and cold-hearted, which can be a manifestation of Aquarius, but less about matters of the heart and more about matters of the mind and about what is practical and what is factual and what is real. So scrolling down, I'm going to get into some of his aspects. So the Weeknd has his moons squaring his nose. So he has moon in Scorpio, and alone a moon in Scorpio can result in a tumultuous childhood, a childhood filled with some type of crisis, abuse, maybe even abandonment, misplacement, intervention from third parties, as well as one where there may have been some type of struggle for power. And I did read that one of the ways, well, how he got his stage name is he and a friend left home. The friend would be represented by the sign Aquarius. He and a friend left home one weekend and then never returned. And that is seen through that moon in Scorpio. Now, another thing that I've picked up on is the fact that his moon is squaring the nose, is squaring his south node in Leo and his north node in Aquarius. So that makes me feel as if his family has a huge sense of entitlement due to him being famous, him being popular, and him having a prominent social status and money. They may feel that he needs to take care of them. And the reason I say that is his moon is squaring the south node. So the moon would be your family, his family. Scorpio represents other people's resources. The South Node in Leo deals with popularity and fame, and the North Node in Aquarius deals with entitlement or liberation. So when you put it all together, his family may feel entitled to his money due to his fame. Another thing this aspect can point to is him running away from home in hopes of, him being and becoming a star, and also him liberating himself in some way, because the North Node in Aquarius is all about liberation. You need to liberate yourself and be as less tied down as possible. Another aspect that reinforces this is that his moon is conjunct Pluto, which can point to a codependent relationship with women and mother who is codependent upon you, as well as your family may be codependent upon you as well. So that just reinforces that energy, that Scorpio moon energy. So that right there does take away from some of that Aquarius energy that he has, because he is someone who is more emotionally involved than the typical Aquarius due to these factors in his chart. All right. So another thing I want to touch on is his Mars conjunct Neptune. So he has a few aspects that show him being in the music business, namely his Mars conjunct Neptune Venus conjunct Saturn, his moon sextile Neptune, his Mars conjunct Saturn. So Venus represents music and Saturn represents business. And this conjunction is in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of business as well. So when you combine the two, that's the music business. His Mars is also in Capricorn, and it forms a conjunction to Neptune. And Capricorn and Neptune also represents art and music. So with that Mars conjunct Neptune, he can be someone who is very hard working because of the Capricorn influence, but it can mean that he is under the authority of someone else, namely the music business, because the music business is represented by Neptune. So he is under the influence of the music business, and this could point to where a lot of his actions are geared towards art, or they're channeled through art and channeled through music. So he is someone who doesn't mind working hard and working a lot of hours, and I probably shouldn't say hours, but putting in a lot of effort and hard work in order to support his music career because it comes naturally to him. That Mars conjunct Neptune can also deal with him being involved in cosplay. So if you know anything about the Weeknd, you know he's always dressing up as funny different characters. Like this previous Halloween, he dressed up as Fat Albert, and he was very convincing. And for his new music video, Save Your Tears, he dressed up. Well, he didn't dress up, but he had this whole prosthetic look going on. And a lot of people thought it was real. I'll just show you guys a picture. So this is that whole look. And this is very much so representative of that Mars conjunct Neptune, where you kind of like to change it up and you like to dress up in costumes. This aspect can also manifest as someone who can be a thief. And I did read that when he was younger, he would steal. Well, before he got famous, he would steal or shoplift or do whatever in order to support his drug habit. And Neptune deals with thievery and it deals with drugs because it deals with the whole lacking boundaries and escapism as well. Now, he has Pluto squaring his nose. His Pluto was in Capricorn. No, his Pluto was in Scorpio at the 17th degree. And his nose are at the 15th degree. So whenever I see Pluto squaring someone's nose, I know that they are involved in some type of underground organization, or they may lead a life where a lot of their activity is underhanded, criminal, or just not out in the open. It can point to being severely indebted to a organization that is more powerful to you. And so we know with the music industry, a lot of times these artists are not in their own authority. They are subject to a more powerful machine behind them. And that is kind of one of the things I wanted to drive home about some of these celebrity videos I'm gonna be doing. I touched on it with LeBron James, but here with this Pluto squaring the North Node with the Weeknd, I'm seeing the same theme. So a lot of times the common man or common woman is envious of celebrities, and we tend to place them on a pedestal and think that they have it all just because of what we see. You know, we see the money, we see the car, the clothes, and the Hollywood diamond life. But a lot of these people are not in their own authority. They are not being they are not able to live their life according to their own will. And typically with that Pluto squaring your nose, at some point he is going to want to break free from that repressive organization. However, it will come with some very hairy situations or circumstances because Aquariuses are naturally rebellious, and with his North Northern Aquarius, he's gonna feel a calling, or he's gonna have that sense of purpose to liberate himself. But with Pluto, there's a danger associated with that because Pluto, on the more negative end, can represent sabotage, it can represent murder, and it can represent where you are being manipulated, and possibly you can just get into some very dark situations due to him trying to liberate himself. So that aspect also can be seen through his Neptune opposition Chiron, because his Neptune is in Capricorn, representing the music business, and the Chiron in Cancer represents, you know, that can represent his family as well as his emotional state as well. And so Chiron can deal with where we like to rebel or where we like to be alternative. We want to be a maverick, or we want to be the exception. And with that opposition, that is showing that at some point he may be in some type of dispute with the music industry or with Hollywood in general when he tries to be more rebellious, and when he tries to kind of liberate himself and do his own thing. That can just cause a lot of conflict. And his Neptune is at the 13th degree, which is a pretty that can be a degree where, you know, perhaps a certain things are out of your control, where you try to be willful, and when you try to obtain a lot of power. However, that Neptune is representing the music industry. So they may just feel entitled to him and his talents. And we all know how the music industry is. Sometimes when artists try to, get their power back, they find themselves in some pretty sorrowful circumstances, just as Prince, Michael Jackson, say no more. Now he has Mars opposition Chiron. So right off the bat, he has Mars in Capricorn, which is also at the 13th degree. So he can be rather willful himself, especially being in Aquarius. And that Chiron opposition basically just ups the ante. So that Mars in Capricorn gives him a great business, gives him great business sense, a strong work ethic, and it makes him geared towards putting in hard work. Mars in Capricorn is one of the best positions to have because it bestows the person an immense amount of endurance and the willpower to see things through to the end. And because this Mars is conjoined to his Neptune, it is no secret that he was able to become prominent or famous because he really did put in the work and is still putting in the work. Now with that Chiron, it also makes me think about the whole family, the family feeling entitled to his hard work or feeling entitled to his support due to his status, and there being some type of conflict interwoven within that. That Mars opposition Chiron can make him willful, rebellious, alternative, make him not want to follow the rules, and someone who can do bizarre and shocking things at times, which again, as I just showed you that picture with the Save Your Tears music video, that did shock a lot of people. That did make a lot of people kind of feel like, okay, what the hell is going on? What is he doing? But that's the nature of that Mars opposition Chiron. This can also point to being wounded in some way when it comes to your masculinity or your expression or your sexuality, and it can make him be involved or attracted to some pretty, different or alternative things, or he may be deviant in some way when it comes to that, and Capricorn deals with punishment and Chiron deals with women. So, there's something going on with that aspect. Now, he has Venus conjunct Saturn, which I touched on a few minutes ago. And that, again, is the music industry. With that aspect, he is someone who is hardworking, and more than likely, he will never go broke. And this is one of the aspects that is good for him because we hit Northern Aquarius. He needs to move away from that South Node Leo mindset of being about matters of the heart, love, and romance. So with this Venus conjunct Saturn, that does help him become more impersonal, more business minded, and less about, love and romance and all the stuff that goes along with that. But this can also point to a lot of challenges in relationships, and where, you may enter into a relationship where you want to control the other person or the other person is trying to control you. It can also manifest as where you may um, use your money and your status to control your partner. So there's that. That Saturn sextile Pluto aspect is a great aspect that can deal with him being in the music industry, and more than likely he'll be in it for a long time. And this can also deal with making powerful connections with prominent groups to his advantage and him seizing those opportunities. What else does he have? That Venus sextile Pluto is also reminiscent of that Saturn sextile Pluto. And again, that Venus sextile Pluto deals with residuals. It deals with where, you have like a license deal and you'll be making money from something, you know, years and years and years later, it could point to like a just like a well, money is kind of like in constant rotation. It's constantly being dispelled to you, where you sign some contracts, and it is very beneficial to you, especially financially. And this can also point to a prominent music career. Now, just to touch on a few more things, because I don't want to make this video too long. He has Sun trine Jupiter, which gives him, which makes him someone who wants to be untethered. He does not want to be tied down, and he kind of has the ability to be to make his own way and to, you know, tread the world through his own liking. So this can deal with him traveling the world and also him liberating himself from his family, which he did through his child when he ran away from home because his Jupiter is in Cancer. He has Mars conjunct Uranus, which reinforces the theme of him being rebellious, willful, alternative, and involved in some type of, you know, social cause where he's fighting for a social cause. And it may be against some type of company or corporation because this conjunction is in Capricorn. Okay, so, and then the last thing I want to touch on is that Jupiter and Uranus forming an opposition to Chiron. So that Chiron in Cancer can deal with him having an unorthodox family, a family that is kind of just different or abnormal, but also him being attracted to wounded women, women who are wounded in some way, women who are the outcasts of society, and women who don't play by the rules. And with that Venus in Capricorn, he wants to be like a fixer, picker upper, and wants to kind of mold these women into what he wants them to be. However, because he's an Aquarius, this can also point to issues with his friends. So his friends may feel entitled to him as well in some respects, and they may have a very huge sense of entitlement when it comes to his career because because Uranus is in Capricorn, his Jupiter is in Capricorn. So all in all, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. His chart is a bucket shape with Jupiter as the handle, which is showing that a lot of his energy is channeled through Jupiter and Cancer. So traveling, you know, and probably just using his expansive imagination in order to get through life, you know. So he may use that when it comes to writing songs and things like that. So that's all for this video. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. And if you want a reading, just email me. My email will be in the description below. Just put reading in the subject matter, and I will get back to you. Thank you for watching.